of the games today. And it was another rip-roaring setting out there. It looks like one team has definitely stepped forward out of the pack and now seem to be the favorite, and it's up to everybody else to knock them off. I came over here to this game today. I left there and they were getting beat 4-3 in about the 4th or 5th inning, and I told everybody over here, what a game it is going on over there. That's really a close battle. And I got back, they'd already had 10 runs, it was 21-6. Well, Albuquerque beat Vero Beach 21-6. After tomorrow, there's going to some people say, well, you're really playing a lot of favoritism to that Drysdale and his group because they're going to be over in the stadium playing again. That's 3 times in a row. Now, I know somebody's going to see that, but I want to tell you, the next 3 games they play, they'll be over here on Field 1. Lou?
Yeah, Drysdale used the old ice trick on us.
Lou, I heard that. I was there, I heard that, and our commissioner, Frank Robinson, was over there, and he had some tough calls today. He had 2 appeal plays, and he had that play, and he handled it very well. Wait a minute, what was that? You know, the way the bats were going today, you got to give a lot of credit to our 2 hitting instructors who took a lot of extra time on the tees out there today and in the cages, Frank Robinson and Duke Snyder. Well, I think you and Duke also worked with them, didn't you, the first day?
No, the first day they were all right. Somebody solved us up.
These are some of the highlights for from that game for Albuquerque. Ron Pennington had a solid 2-run double over the left fielder's head. Nick Finelli was another guy that was helped by the hitting instructors. He had a hard double and a single today. And Junior Marquise had a long triple in the dead center field over the center fielder's head, a single, and played another fine game at third base.
Struck out.
Yeah, but you overlook those when you get those other things. Frank Jacobson had 3 ringing hits, giving him 4 out of 5 at-bats in 2 games. I want you to know I got the stats today, and if any of you found mistakes, please come see me tomorrow. But Albuquerque, you wonder how he's winning this club? He's had 40 base hits out of 97 times at bat. That gives him a league-leading 4.12 batting average. Now, here we went again. John stayed back there for hours with us, and we poured over who's going to win the Potato Head Award tonight. But he decided, and his staff, they selected a man who was a surprise starter. They were running out of pitchers. They decided they needed a pitcher. This fella stepped forward, filled the breach, started and pitched 5 very strong innings. Dick Anderson. John said he may start him again tomorrow.
The teacher what he was supposed to do. That was by design.
For the losing Vero Beach team, there's not very, when you lose that bad way, there aren't too many highlights, but there were some. Barry Hennessy broke out of a mild slump with a hard 2-run double in the left field. Triple. Did I say double? It wasn't triple. Triple. Wilma. Good. J.B. Egan made one of the fine fielding plays at first base, scooped the ball on a very low throw, came up with it. Also had a long fly ball to right field that should have been a sacrifice fly. But the runner on third, if this happens in the big leagues, you can't be too worried about it. He started down the lines, tried to get back, and couldn't make it. He had to hold up. But I thought, Frank and I talked this over up there, being the commissioner that he was, that we thought that manager Drysdale and his staff got on third base coach Pee Wee Reese awful hard on that play. It really wasn't Pee Wee.
Pee Wee Reese, it's not Reeser.
Reese,
I
wait a minute, it wasn't?
had a rope on him. Hell, he kept running down the line. He said, I thought it was in there. I said, it didn't make any difference. Where's Mike?
That's
They
great.
tell me traveled all the way across the other field in 5 minutes. That damn Snyder got on me about it. I understand he had a man not been tagged up and cost. But he ended up scoring, did he? Yes, I did. That's right. He scored about. He scored 4 runs in that inning, right?
I thought Drysdale was a little rough on you. Carl Steimel also had a 2-run triple over the left fielder's head, and this temporarily I say, gave Vero Beach a 1-run lead. Now Doc Manis, the old baby Doc, boy, he just keeps on hitting, and what are you now, Doc? You're batting 1,000?
About 39, about as high as my ERA.
4 for what is right. Doc's in contention. He's in contention for the batting title, the big trophy. Okay, for this Potato Head Award. Here again, it was a pitcher. And maybe these pitching managers are leaning over too far towards these pitchers. But Domingo Moriera was the Potato Head Award winner. Domingo. The second game, again, was a hitter's game.
Hey, Phil was a guy.
As Bakersfield edged out San Antonio 14-12.
All right. Still undefeated, Bakersfield.
That's right. They're undefeated. They got one little tie. And you play the leaders tomorrow, don't you?
The leader.
The leaders play each other tomorrow.
It's 2-0 and one tie makes those.
Keep talking. It's a half a loss, pal.
But without getting into a big argument tonight, we'll go over later on.
Are you serious about it? You don't get 3 hours of anything like that. And you get him this way, you get sick. I think they cheat.
But we win.
For losing San Antonio today, Sam Griffith continued to catch very well behind the plate, and plus he had 2 hard doubles. Had a good day out there. Warren Owen had 2 hits, 1 a triple to right field. Gerald Fitzpatrick might have made one of the best catches of the day. Played second base. He went after a little pop fly about 20 feet up. Hit his glove 3 times, and he finally dove for the ball and caught it just before it hit the ground. Now, the Potato Head Award winner was a man who drove in 2 runs with a triple to right field. He also had a single along with this big base hit. Owen Schwaderer. For Bakersfield. And of course this made, as you can tell tonight, manager Spahn is very happy over here with his victory. Jim Walsh had 2 hits, 1 RBI, and pitched 2 innings, only giving up 1 run. I wanted to mention yesterday that there was an error in the stat, and I was going to mention it at the when I was talking here, but then I saw the stats said he didn't get any hits. But Phil Potter, where are you, Phil? Phil Potter did get a long double yesterday.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for him because he's pulled a hamstring. I hope you can get back right in there tomorrow, Phil.
Hard.
Now, there's something I want to mention about the manager, Warren Spahn. I have never seen Warren as emotional as he was after the game today. There were almost tears in his eyes, almost. When he came to me and he said, look at that, look at that. Here's Arnold Shevin out there with his 1 foot heavily taped out on a crutch, helping the ball club along. I think that's Arnold is he's really either home with his leg up or he's down at Bobby. Oh, there he is. Okay. Hey, Arnie, get up. Now, the best defensive play of the whole day. In the next to the last inning for manager Spahn's team, the club of this team, San Antonio, has the potential tying run at second base and the winning run at first base. There was a fly ball hit into center field. And Bob Wojnarowski came dashing in and made the catch. Now, Duke, not in the glove, in the crotch. Try that, baby. Now, that's a sensational catch. And if you don't believe what I'm telling you here tonight, you read about it in the article he'll write for the Florida Today newspaper tomorrow.
Back of the whirlpool, he's not here.
Oh, yeah. Now, the Potato Head Award winner tonight goes to a fella who yesterday was so sad and so down, struck out 3 times yesterday. Went to the batting cage. He asked me, he said afterwards, if the batting cage was open, I said, certainly are. You go on over there if you want to hit. Today, he sought out Frank Robinson and Duke Snyder for some extra help. He's the Potato Head winner. He had a home run to right field.
Yeah.
A hard home run to right field. A 2-run single. Stole a base and made a great fielding play in the outfield. Now, before I call him up here, there's one thing though. Duke and I talked about this up there. This guy is an aerialist. We were very concerned about him when he gets up in there on that little barrel and rolls around, he's walking. Just the way he went after that one fly ball he missed today, huh, Duke? We're worried about that high fly ball. Lee Heisinger. We're just hoping that all the rest of these games are going to be as exciting as they were today, because this just gives us all a big lift to see these games go as well as they did. Now, I want to remind you before I turn this over to our speakers tonight that the bubble gum card pictures will be taken tomorrow. Albuquerque and San Antonio are scheduled. Albuquerque from 9 to 9:15, San Antonio 9:15 to 9:30. Tomorrow's schedule will include rundown plays, more hitting in the cages and live hitting, and we're going to put Lou back out on the field again tomorrow, where he's going to work with you on sliding. Boy, and you need Lou, did you see some of the sliding went on today? Every time they went on, it was like, oh my God, did he get up? Now, tonight's speakers, we picked this. Charlie Blaney and I we're the ones that picked this title, didn't we, Charlie? Leadership in baseball, because the 2 men that we've asked to give this talk were both outstanding in that department. But we want them to know that they're free to discuss any phase of the game that they want to. Ask any questions that they want to. You fellas can ask any questions. But the first man that we're going to have up here. I'm going to talk about both of them, and then I'm going to ask the first man to come up here. Managed in both leagues, at Cleveland and San Francisco. He's the only player, as I told you the other day, that's ever been selected as the most valuable player in both leagues. Cincinnati in 1961 and Baltimore in 1966. And that's Frank Robinson. All right. The second man who will follow him up here, Harold Wee Reese,
By giving those hard doubles.
was captain of the great Dodger teams of the 40s and 50s. He hit .309 in 1954, hit .272 in 7 World Series, selected the Hall of Fame in '84 for his, and this is one of the reasons we picked this title, his subtle leadership, competitive fire, professional pride, along with his dependable glove, base running, and clutch hitting. That'll be Pee Wee Reese. So Frank, I'm going to turn it over to you first.
Thank you very much, guys. Actually, I'm not going to spend too much time up here because I think we can get into other things more interesting than just talking about leadership. But Warren, I didn't hear him give any credit to your club hitting. It wasn't any hard doubles, anything in there.
You did a great job, Frank.
I just can understand it.
You took that other stuff and made great stuff out of it.
But just to touch on what leadership is, actually, I think leadership can come from different people and different avenues. I became a leader on the Cincinnati Ball Club, I think at a very young age in 1961. All of a sudden I looked up and I was the old man of the group. So the players looked to me to be the leader. And I was the type of individual at that time, after spending about 5 or 6 years in the big leagues, I got out of my shyness and I wouldn't mind speaking my mind. But at that time, ownership looked up on me as a troublemaker. If you spoke up and spoke out about what you felt and took your problems as far as the ball players were concerned to the management, they looked at you as a troublemaker. But I always looked up on it if one of my teammates would come to me for help. I believed in helping them. I would listen to their problems. I would give them advice. And I think the only time you can really become a leader is if you have the respect of your players, your teammates and players, or if you're a manager, if you have the respect of your players, and also if they have confidence in you. You cannot force yourself on your teammates to become a leader. And I'll give you a little example of that, and I'll go back to what I was saying. In 1971, Reggie Jackson came down to play for me in Puerto Rico after he had had some trouble with Charlie Finley in his contract and had an off year. After my family left, Reggie wanted to move in and be my roommate. He wanted to come in, he wanted to spend hours and pick my brain, which he did. One day he made a statement. He said, you know, he says, on the Oakland Ball Club, he says, if I don't do the job, if I don't hit, we don't win. I said, wait a minute, Reggie, hold it right there. I said, you got guys like Sal Bando, you got guys like Dick Green, you got Joe Rudy, you got Vita Blue, you got Catfish Hunter, you got Raleigh Fingers, and all those guys. I said, those are pretty good ball players, don't you think? Don't you think they helped that ball club win ball games? And I said, even without you, I think you'd still have a pretty good ball club. And I think he had started to settle down. He says, well, I'm the leader on that ball club. I said, are you telling them that you're the leader, or are they telling you you're the leader? He says, I'm telling them. I said, you're not the leader. I said, you're not the leader until they show you that you're the leader. They come to you, and they have confidence in you, and they respect you. I said, you cannot force it down anyone's throat. And I think he became a little better person for that as the years went along. And that's the thing about trying to be a leader, or being a leader. I think you can lead in different ways. You can lead by example, or you can lead by speaking out and speaking your piece and doing things like that. I think on the Baltimore Ball Club, when I went over there, they thought Brooks Robinson and I was going to have a clash. Because the reporters told me when I went there, they said, Brooks Robinson is the leader of this ball club. No ifs, ands, and buts. What do you think about that? I said, I think that's great. I said, but I think there's room for more than one leader on a ball club. And I think on any ball club. there's room for more than one leader. And Brooks and I never had a cross word. We got along fine. Brooks was a quiet type of individual. He did it by example. He would go out and play his position, drive in the big run, get the big hit, get the big home run. He did it that way. I was more of an outgoing person. I would talk to the players. I would work with them a little bit. And then I would go out and slide head first like a dummy and come up hurt. But, going over to the American League from the National League, they said I was bringing a brand of baseball that wasn't there because I slid head first and whatever. But that's just the way I tried to get there first, before the tag. But we played good hard-nosed baseball in the National League. It's not saying that they didn't play hard-nosed baseball in the American League, but I think it is a different brand of baseball played in the National League. So the players looked up at me and they said, well, geez, if he can go in head first and get dirty and whatever, we can do it too. So they started to play a little harder. And all of a sudden we won that year. But Brooks and I always got along. And I think also going back to the Cincinnati days, I was looking around and they was looking for a leader. So I stepped forward. But the thing about it is I always tried to help, and still do, my teammates. If I see a hitter that I feel like is in a little slump or is doing something wrong, I'll try to help him. If he comes to me and talks to me on anything, a pitcher, or infield, or outfield, I'll listen, and I'll give him good advice. If I don't know the answers, I'm not going to bull him, BS him, and give him a wrong answer. I'll say, I don't know. I'll try to go find out what the real problem or truth is. I'll get back to you. I'm not going to say that I'm smarter than anyone else. I'm not going to even pretend to be. But I'm going to be open and honest with you. Sometimes that's gotten me in trouble. As a matter of fact, more than once. But that's just me. That's the way I am. I'm going to be frank, open, and honest with you. If you don't like it, that's tough. But I think in time, after you hear that, and down the road, you might say, well, he was right at the time. Because when I was managing, I would tell my players they could come into the office and we could talk, we'd scream, we may holler at each other, or whatever. When they walked out of there, at least they'd know what was on my mind. I would listen to them, what was on their mind, and we could thrash it out. But what I was going to be is open and honest with them. They may not like what I had to say, but at least they heard what I had to say. And that's the way I've always been, and that's where I always try to be. And I think that is what it's all about. I think every instructor in here, in his own way, has been a leader on his ball club when he was there as an active player. And is the lead in different ways. John Drysdale, Marichal, Bob Gibson, starting pitchers. I think they led their ball club by the way they competed and the competitors that they were on the field, by going out, throwing complete games, and being the winner. You've heard of stoppers on the ball club, right? Those guys were stoppers, and that's what your leaders are. When you're in a 4-game losing streak, you know if one of them is going to the mound, you have an excellent chance of winning the ball game. I think you can have a leader on the starting staff, you can have a leader on your bullpen staff, because they're a different breed than starters. Pitchers are a different breed anyway. They are. They don't belong to the rest of the ball club. It's 10 guys, and it's a ball club of 15. Especially left-handed pitchers. I didn't want to overlook anybody. Robin Robinson's another leader-type guy on at Philly Ball Club, because he'd go out there and he pitches 9 innings, he pitches 200-something innings every year, and he'd win his 20 ball games. That is what a leader's all about. But again, as I was saying, pitchers are a different breed. Starting pitchers have their leader, bullpen have their leader. I'll get off in a minute. And then the other 15 guys, infielders and outfielders and catchers, they have their leader. But I think most catchers are automatic leaders anyway on the ball club. They're back there in the center of everything, and it happens around them. They have to control the pitcher. They can move the infielders and outfielders, and they control the game. And I think they're just automatic leaders behind the plate. But some people don't want to be a leader. Some people are just not cut out to be leaders. They're leaders and they're followers. And some people are just not cut out, and you cannot force anyone to be a leader if they don't want to be a leader, and they're not cut out to be a leader.
Frank, did you find it more difficult or different when you became the manager and you were automatically put in the bracket of having to be the leader that way? Was that tougher?
What I found to be different when I became a manager as opposed to a player, the players stood back a little bit more from me. They didn't come to me as often for advice or to talk to me. In other words, a lot of them said they were in awe of me. And I found that a little hard to believe because I was a little bit more outgoing to the players and mingle with them a little bit, not off the field, but in the clubhouse and on the field. But they still had like a wall or barrier there. And that's what I found out. They were a little intimidated, they said, by me. And not by me as a person, but by what I had accomplished.
Right? So you just said you cannot force leadership down somebody, but you as the manager in that situation, you're the leader. How do you handle that?
Well, I'm not forcing my leadership. I am the boss of that
Right,
ball
so
club.
how do you handle that when they're looking at you in awe, they're not really coming after you as buddies, per se?
Well, what you try to do is get them to open up by bringing them in, talking to them. Not always, say, in the office, because I think now all of a sudden they're a little uptight when you call them into the office. But maybe out on the field, you go up to them and talk to them and casually talk to them. How's the family? I know, what are you doing tonight? How do you feel? Don't worry about last night. The 0-for-4 wasn't that bad, although we lost the ball game and you cost us the ball game. Just make the guy feel good, you know. Don't let it happen. Right. Don't let it happen again tonight. You know, that's the type of thing actually. But you know, that's a little different type of leadership than when you are as a player or when you're appointed as the manager. I was probably the leader on the ball club. Probably Cincinnati, Baltimore, and wherever else I went, basically. But I was only named the captain one time, and that was at California. Very briefly, though. Dick Williams took over in July or sometime and named me the captain of the ball club, not the manager, the captain of the ball club, and in August I was gone. So I didn't want to be named captain anymore.
What were the added pressures of the year that you were both player and manager, like Pete Rose is now or something? Was it a little more difficult then?
Well, it's much more difficult, actually, but it wasn't as difficult for me, I don't think, as it is for Pete Rose, because I didn't have to play defense if I didn't want to in the American League. I was a DH. But the one thing I found the most difficult thing was keeping Frank Robinson, the player, in shape and ready to play, because I just didn't have enough time for him as against my other duties as the manager. I always found that I just go out and take batting practice. I probably hit maybe a total of an hour and a half in spring training. And during the season, I probably went in the cage maybe 10 or 15 times all season long. I just didn't have the time. Not really. I had some big hits, but I didn't hit that much. I hit that often. But I did have some big hits. Chris Short tried to throw the fastball by the old man one day. See you later.
Carrying it one step further, as a manager, you also have the ownership involved. How did you relate to the ownership in your leadership role?
Well, actually, when you're the manager of a ball club, you're looked up on as management, as part of management. That's one thing also with the players. They look up on you as management, not as a friend, like a coach. A coach is more of a buffer and a friend to the players than the manager is, because they look up on him as manager. I handle it, you try to handle it as well as possible. The one thing you have to try to do is, I always try to do the best thing for my players, because they're the ones that have to perform for me. They have to stand up and for them, because if they didn't do the job for you, you're gone anyway. I don't care how well management like you, you're gone. But you always have to remember you are working for them, and you try to walk that fine line between the players and management and try to keep harmony and peace.
But if you have to assume a leadership role in the ownership relationships as well as in the player relationship.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. You have to be a sort of a leader in that respect too, because they're going to ask you advice on trades and things like that. So you have to be involved in that, and you have to show some type of leadership. Sure, you just can't sit back and be yes and no man. Yes, yes, yes. Whatever they say, it goes. You have to stand up.
The press is going to come to you as a manager, as the team leader, the team image, that type of thing, when they ask you ownership questions, basically.
Well, you have to be like a circus act. You have to walk that tightrope. You have to be very careful, because if you don't, you're going to rub the players the wrong way. They're going to make them mad at you. If you say the wrong thing, you're going to make management mad at you. But if I had a choice, and I mean this sincerely, if I had a choice, which one's going to be angry at me? I'd rather have management angry at me than the players angry at me. A couple more, then we got to get the other guy up
One
here.
anecdote. Don, this is a true story. LA Times, there was a writer, I forget his name, for a long time. Whenever the article was on the Orioles, it was the the Robinsons, Frank and Brooks led the Orioles, in parentheses, no relation. He did that a dozen times. And I don't even know who he was, but I just thought it was pretty funny.
Well, there's a lot of people still think we're brothers. You know, but, you know, there's different ways, and there's different leaders. Earl Weaver's the type of the guy that really pushes his players, screams and hollers at them.
Frank, as a team leader, did you have trouble under Earl Weaver or certain managers?
No, none whatsoever, really. You know, you always have to root for your teammates, too, and you don't get down. When you have a bad day, you still have to keep your head up. And it reminds me of a time we was in the '69 World Series that I try to forget against the Mets. And I'd only faced Nolan Ryan one time, and that's one of the nice things that happened to me in my career. I didn't have to face him at all. I just kind of went around. I faced him in, Don, and to answer your question, I did back off the plate one time in my life, and that was in an exhibition game. I was facing Nolan Ryan. And I got as far back in the batter's box as I could and as far away from the plate as I could. And I said, okay, there it is, Nolan, go ahead. And the first pitch, he knocked me down. And I said, there's the plate over there. But coming up to the '69 World Series, they had us down 3 games to 1, I'm sorry. And they were leading in this last game. It's the 9th inning. And he comes in out of the bullpen. We had a couple of men on. Paul Blair was the hitter, 2 outs in the 9th inning. And Nolan went to 3-2 on Paul Blair, and I'm on deck. I'm the next hitter now. If he walks in, I'm up and gives us a chance to maybe get back in the ball game. And Nolan Ryan took the sign, and he wound up and threw him one of these curveballs. Blair went down, he hit the dirt. The umpire said, strike 3. Blair's getting up arguing. I said, no, sir. Yes, sir. That was a strike, sir. Yes, sir. Strike 3. Let's go. Game over. That was the only time I really did that. I think maybe one other question.
During your career, players became millionaires. What's the leadership difference, or what changes did you see trying to lead millionaires around?
Well, it's not leading millionaires around, and I don't lead any millionaires around. You don't lead them. They do whatever they want to do. You ask them, Mr. So-and-so, what do you want to do today? How do you feel like? No, not really. I just think players today have more control, or they control their own destiny much more than when I was playing and when we were playing mostly. They have a say in what happens. And they know they have a 5-year guaranteed contract, and they know the poor manager's working on a 1-year contract, and, you know, you can't threaten them. You say, hey, you know, if you don't do this, you're gone. They look at you like you're crazy. Who's gone? You're gone, buddy. Now, it's difficult to kind of motivate them today because they know really, they have no real incentive to really go out and really do it. Just self-pride really pushes players today because they know they're going to get the money no matter what if they stay around. That's what makes it a little tougher today. Really getting the players to really exert and push themselves to be better than what they're capable of being. Thank you. If you have any more after Pee Wee get up here, I'll be glad to give it back. Come on, Pee Wee.
Well, that's a tough act to follow, I'll tell you. You know, I've been here for 2 days now, and I just want to say something to Duke and Harmon and Al Kaline. What a terrific job they did last night. You know who really steals the show every night? I think Guy Wellman steals that damn potato award. They do a great job. They really do. You know, talking to the instructors here, they've, most of them have been to shows here. They've done 2 or 3 of them. And this is the first one that I've been to. And I can really say I've enjoyed it the 2 days, but probably the blackest moment of my time in Florida is that damn Drysdale beat me today. That killed me when they beat me, I'll tell you. It's hard to believe, because we had talked about it, and I was a little disappointed tonight, too, when I got up here. I thought that the Vero Beach team would kind of give me a standing ovation, really. But I think Robin Roberts, our manager, has kind of poor-mouthed me so much, I don't think they have any respect for me, really. And I've had, let's see, what have I done at third base? And it really hurt me today when Mike kind of got picked off at third base. Not didn't get picked off, he didn't score. But the other day, Jim, you were on third base, right? And somebody hit a line shot right down the line. And Jim must have been 7 steps up on third base. And the guy caught the ball at third base and just stepped on back and doubled him off. I came in, and what do you think Lou Brock said to me? Now, if he was a Dodger, it would have been all right, but a damn Cardinal, you know, out there with a Dodger uniform on, he said, Pee-wee, did you ever coach third base before? And that really hurt, Lou, I'm telling you. I didn't say anything to you, but that hurt me, pal, and I won't forget it. And this guy's a coach on our team. I think Frank covered most of the leadership on tonight, but, you know, I was supposed to be the captain of the Dodgers, the leader of the Dodgers, and I'm very proud of that. And my peers, Duke Snyder and Roy Campanella and Drysdale and the fellows that I played with, they still call me captain. They still have a great respect for me. And I was said by many of the newspaper men that I was the glue that kept the ball club together. Well, that's a lot of BS, because if it was kind of a watered-down glue, really, because we had so many leaders on this ball club. And if you just look at it for a minute, when you got Roy Campanella, who played with us all the time, Drysdale, Snyder, Gil Hodges, Jackie Robinson, you know, there is no one man could lead that ball club. Campy was really, he was the guy that really kept us together, really. I can remember every day going out on that field. If we happened to win the night before, Campy, you'll remember this, and we're standing on the dugout getting ready to go out, and he'd look down the line and he said, boys, he said, the same team that won last night is going to win tonight. And he meant that seriously. Drysdale, what did he do? He pitched 40 games for 9 straight years. He struck out 300 guys 4 years in a row. But the main thing he did, as far as I was concerned, was a leader, and I really respect that in the pitcher. When someone threw at somebody on our ball club, buddy, this guy was going to protect you. He was going to go out there and take somebody down. And I hope you didn't teach those pitchers of yours to do that today, Don. You hit 2 or 3 of those guys.
They're just wild, Pee-wee.
Yeah. And I'll tell you another story on that clown, really. I know, I really love him, but I was playing in an old-timers game out in L.A. this year, and I was the first hitter. Well, no, the first time, I was still playing at this time. I was a young man, and we were you'll remember this, Don, and we were over in Lakeland, Florida, and we were taking batting practice, and Don was pitching, buddy. He kept throwing the ball outside. I said, Don, get the damn ball over, will you? I hope I dropped dead standing right here. The next pitch, he hit me right in the back with it. Did you do that, Don? Huh? Don't smile at me. And this year in L.A., playing an old-timers game, I'm the first hitter, and I get up there, and I always had to hit. Of course, I couldn't hit like Frank Robinson, but I stood on the plate the same way as he did. You know, I was up on top of the plate because I wanted the pitch to be inside. That ball out of the way gave me a little problem, and I could hit that inside ball much better to right field than I could the outside pitch. Anyway, I get up on top of the plate, and the first pitch hit me right in the back. And I said, I'm 67 years old. I don't get out of the way of that ball too easily, I'll tell you. And I said, Don, did you really try? He said, no, Pee-wee, the ball just goes inside. Did you ever get him to throw a pitch that kind of just goes a little bit outside? He said, no, it's always gone inside. But I really have. I have enjoyed this. I feel like I'm a part of this Vero Beach team. I admire the guys, and we were looking so damn good today for 6th inning. And did you come over, Guy? Did you cause this whole thing?
When I left you, you were winning.
Were you?
When I left, it might have cost you. It was 4-3 when I was there.
Was it? Okay. But, talking about leaders again, I've got to just kind of wandering around here. Which is a dear friend of mine, Duke Snyder over here, and he was a great ball player. There's no question about it. But boy, was he tough to handle. God, was he tough. He was, they didn't call him the Duke for nothing. He was really a Duke, I'm telling you. And you could be that way when you hit 40 home runs and hit in 100 runs for about 8 or 10 years. But he and I were great friends. In fact, when we lived right around the corner from each other in Brooklyn, and one time I had said something at a bridge game. We used to play a lot of bridge on the ball club. And I'm waiting outside at Barwell Terrace, and my man didn't pick me up, and I called, and I said, Bev, where's Duke? He said, well, Pee-wee, he left half an hour ago. I said, wasn't he going to pick me up? He said, no, he wasn't going to pick you up. He got mad at you about that bridge game last night. And he did not pick me up. He really didn't. You don't remember? I remember it. I remember it. But he was a leader. He really was. And, you know, when you have a leader on a ball club, a Frank Robinson or a Duke Snyder or someone at Campanella, they really mean a lot to you. I mean, if they go out there, just having them on the ball club, being out there playing that day, they may go 0 for 4. But having them out there, knowing that they may help you, is a big asset. And I don't think that you can make a leader out of anyone. It's something that, we're going to say, Frank, look, I couldn't tell whether you're a leader or not unless I played with you. I don't think that I could know whether Lou Brock was a leader unless I played with him. And I'm sure every damn one of you are a leader. Warren Spahn, when he went out there to pitch, I know he was a leader. Well, I don't know he was, but I think that they had great respect for him. But I think that Bob Feller and I were talking about this today. You really have to play with someone to know him. Right, Frank? And, of course, the Brooklyn Dodgers and the L.A. Dodgers, I was out there with two, the only ball club that I ever played with. And I felt like I knew the Snyders and the Campanellas and the Drysdales and the Koufax and all those great ball players. And we had some great. And Jackie Robinson, you know what he played with us for 10 years. We won 7 pennants and finished second 3 times. You think that he wasn't a leader? And what a great guy he was. And, you know, a lot of time when Jackie first came up, a lot of people threw at him, maybe because he was black. They didn't like him. But later on in his career, I said, Jackie, man, they ain't throwing at you because you're black. They just don't like you. That's all it is to it. Because, I mean, Jackie could be, you know, he could be tough, couldn't he, Frank? He could be nasty as hell. Right, Campy? Ain't no question about it. But I've enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, Guy, and I'm glad that Charlie and everybody invited me down here, and I hope to come back some year. It's been a real pleasure. And Frank, you did a good job. Thank you very much for helping me out.
For both of you gentlemen, the big difference between being a leader of a World Series team or a last place team, you know, you get discouraged or second division club, the guys get discouraged. As a leader, you have to put forth a little more effort as opposed to the World Series team.
I don't know, you know, on our ball club, I don't think that they look to me to lead in a World Series or something. If on our ball club, if the Snyder didn't do something or Campy didn't do something or someone on our ball club didn't do something, you didn't have to worry about Walt Alston or Leo Durocher or Charlie Dressen telling you something. I guarantee you one of the players would have told you that you didn't hustle or you didn't do this. So we had so many leaders on our block, and I appreciate the fact that I got a lot of the credit for it. But, my God, as I said, it was kind of watered down. But the best thing that ever happened to me that I played with Brooklyn for all those years and being on 7 pennant winners and just being a Dodger and playing with Jackie. The first black in baseball meant a lot to me. Any more questions? Hey. Gotta get my big man here going. He's got hurt today, but he's gonna be all right, don't you, Jim? We're playing a team tomorrow that hasn't won a damn game. We'll beat them. We'll kill them. We'll get them tomorrow. We'll get them.
When the Dodgers came out to L.A. 1958, they ended up 7th place. Now you guys were never in 7th. I mean, I don't think you ever came close to 7th place.
I got news for you, Jim. That was not the Dodgers that came out in L.A. Really.
But kind of a follow-up to that question is, you still got all the guys from Brooklyn that were still on the team, a lot of the guys anyway. And, you know, what's the mode? I mean, everyone has got to be in a kind of a down mode. They're not used to losing more than they...
Well, we didn't have Jackie, for one. Campanella was hurt that year in February. Newcomb didn't come to L.A. There's 3 pretty good pitchers, and the old folks over here, Snyder, he had a real bad knee operation, and they had that right field wall was 900 feet out there. What did it do? That was no fun. The left field screen was close. Wally Moon found out how to hit that left field screen, but it was not the same ball club, Jim, at all. So, and I told Walt Alston, this is the true story. We went out there, and I was 40 years old in 1958 when we went out there. I said, Walt, I cannot play another year out here. He said, you got to play one more year. Well, I think before the season was over with, I had proven to Walt that I couldn't play. Because, you know, it was just too tough. It was, I ran just as hard to first base, but I was always getting thrown out for a step. If I go in the hole and come up with the ball and fire it and throw just as hard, but it didn't get there as fast. So I knew I couldn't play. And the next year, Buzzy Bavasi said, Pee Wee, you want to play again? You want to manage? You want to coach? I said, play again. Hell, I didn't play last year. I don't want to play anymore. But the Dodgers were, and the L.A. fans were great to me, even though I was pretty bad. But I enjoyed playing in L.A., but I didn't want to leave Brooklyn, I'll tell you that.
Was Walter Alston as tough as what we've heard as far as a man? I read
Tough in what way?
Well, I've read stories where they say that, I mean, if he had words with a player or something, that let's go on outside and settle it that way.
Well, he's been known to do it that way, wasn't he, Duke? Yeah. I wouldn't, Walt was a very laid-back man. He never got angry with anyone as long as you hustled and put out. He never said anything to you, but if you wanted to look for a little trouble, he would give you all you want. Right, Campy?
Yes.
He's a little bit different from the other manager that I played for. I mean, Leo Durocher was he was the type of man that would come into the clubhouse if you made an error or something like that. And we were talking with the day about it. We were doing a little filming the day, and one of the gentlemen doing that, I really didn't catch your name of the day. He said, you made something like 40-some-odd errors in 41. I said, Jesus Christ, that's nice. I ought to start the interview out saying I made 40 errors in 1941. Well, what I hated about, and Leo and I became very close friends, but Leo was the type of the guy that would come in and raise hell with you in the clubhouse in front of everyone. And I never liked to be embarrassed, but that way. I was embarrassed enough by making a mistake on the field out there. But I always said if I managed the ball, I don't know how Frank or how these guys manage the ball club, but I always liked to call the guy in my office and say, hey, you know, you did this or you did that wrong. Not in front of 25 or 30 guys out there. I just didn't like that. But Durocher was that type of person, very loud. Dresser was a little bit like that, but Alston was a real gentleman, a class individual. Fellow from Vero Beach back there.
Yes, sir.
Good old Doc. You gotta stand up. He's our pitcher, our catcher, and our 800 hitter. 1,000? I'm sorry, kids.
What went through your mind and your feelings during those years? You know, each time you came so close and then would lose. And, you know, how did the team stay together? Because, you know, we've lost and things. Winning just brings a certain spirit to the club. How did you face it?
Well, the ball club, and the fellows that I named, you would have to know them, Ted. I don't think we ever won in a series against the Yankees. We were afraid of the Yankees, and we thought that we could beat them every year that we played. It was just one of those things that, you know, you made a mistake or something, and the Yankees had a great ball club, and they had a great organization. They always have had, and we thought we could beat them every year, but the only year we managed to do it was 1955. But we had a feeling every year that we went into it, we could win. Mr. Powers.
What's the old ice trick?
Oh, well, the old ice trick, Drysdale, today, he had a pitcher, Mr. Anderson, I think was his name. Is he sitting on, where is he? There he is. He won the...
Shag is still lifted.
Yeah. He pitched about 6 or 7 innings, and then Drysdale finally, and I kept on Andy all the time. I said, when the hell did they take you out of the ball game? Because he was pitching pretty good. And so they finally took him out, and they put him in, evidently they put him in this is what Drysdale said. They sent him in the clubhouse, and they put an ice pack on his shoulder or his elbow, whatever they're supposed to do with the pitchers like that. So now then Drysdale hollers over to us and says, well, we got, Mr. Lewis, who was it? We called him Harmon Kilbrew. There he is, sitting right over there. He's the third place hitter, and all of a sudden he looks up, he's hitting with 3 men on, and we just had no one to hit for for Mr. Anderson up there, and we call it the old ice trick. We're going to try that tomorrow, see if we can send a guy into the clubhouse with an ice pack on him or something.
Yeah, you did some broadcasting with Dizzy Dean, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
What was he like?
Crazy. Very crazy. But a great guy to work with. If I hadn't had the opportunity to work with him, I would have had very difficult times doing it. I was never thought that I would like to do play-by-play on television, but Dizzy and my nice little wife over here and a fellow named Gene Kirby and Buzzy Bavasi talked me into it. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. But I enjoyed very much. It was probably the best 6 years I spent outside of baseball when I worked with Dizzy Dean.
Did you learn English then or not?
English? Well, he and I both kind of butchered it up a little bit, but hell, I felt like a professor compared to him, really. But a nice man, he really was.
Yeah, this is the first question I've asked since camp started, and it's because it's the first time I can lift my arm. I've enjoyed the leadership, being on this losing Albuquerque team with Mr. Kaline and Mr. Drysdale and the fantastic rapport. The only thing I really, regret about this camp is that I've gotten to know the trainers better than my teammates. And I'd like to thank them all personally and give them a big round of applause.
What do you think, guy? Charlie?
All of the instructors for 15, 20 years, some more, were on top of the baseball world. I'd be interested in knowing how you personally and maybe some of the others made that adjustment from receiving the adulation to the applause stops.
Charlie, I'm glad you asked that question. I got a man sitting out here tonight. He said, Pee-wee, if you get in trouble, I will be glad to come up and take over for you. Now then, I'm going to call Mr. Lou Brock up here. Come on up. You asked for it, Lou. Did you tell me that, Lou?
Yeah, I did.
I want you to know that Wee Reese and I have played a lot of golf together. And of course, he has been the person who has carried me. I usually wind up in a rough all the time, and Pee-wee's right down the fairway. So we got to be real close friends, so I thought tonight, if he got in trouble, I could bail him out. But not on that question. I think it...
How tough of an adjustment was it to go from being a player to not being a player? How tough was it to know that, hey, my playing days are over?
Okay. I think that any player, he's the first guy to know when his career has begun to deteriorate. As Pee-wee was saying up here earlier, sportscasters also let you know in a hurry. I think the greatest thrill or the greatest desire, the greatest accolade is to be called a natural athlete. And that's supposed to be a person born with God-given talent to excel almost in any given situation. And when we excel at a high level and we set our game on automatic pilot and we go out and play for 10 or 12 years without thinking about the mechanics, then suddenly one day you have to get in touch with the mechanics again. And that's when you know that the spotlight is now shifting. It becomes very critical for the player to understand why he is still in the game. What is the reason? And that reason or that quest is known as a quest. Are you playing for one more cheer, one more at bat, one more spotlight, or one more World Series? Whatever it has to be real, because the fans of the audience will never accept a top player to play below his accepted standards of play. And if those questions are not real, we run into something called mental anguish. And towards the end, we have to be very careful with that. We have to identify why we're still in the game, the reason, and set our quest. And gradually deprogram from the game. And sometimes, as Pee Wee has said, his deprogramming was done with the broadcast booth. I know Bob Gibson, for a number of years, was out of the game. He came back to gradually deprogram, and so has Frank Robinson and Drysdale in the broadcast booth, along with Al Kaline. I, too, have deprogrammed to some degree by being in the broadcast booth. So that is one of the things we have to identify with, is the quest. Identify that quest and make it the purpose of to why we exist, rather than to be attached to the game and go through the mental anguish. Pee-wee?
What did he say? Do you understand it, Mark? Very good, Lou. Thank you very much. I guess. Guy, anybody have anything else to say? Guy, take it away, pal.
Okay. Good job. Thank you, Frank, Pee-wee, and Lou. Okay, folks, that's it for the night. We'll see you tomorrow. Get your sleep.
What words are we working on? What do you see about those stats? It's terrible.